Yes. If there's audio on one or two things, will that pick up from the laptop?
Yeah, because there are speakers built into the ceiling. So, and we're just using the camera mic, so it'll pick up room noise and everything. We just wanted to give you the mic for extra amplification.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So any videos that I play through the
will
laptop will
be
be picked up, even though is it coming through just my laptop speakers or?
No, did I plug the audio cable?
I know, that's why I've learned after the first day this.
I think I'm going to move back. The definition was so much better on your presentation too.
Yeah, sorry.
They're like much higher definition.
They
are
are.
hanging down.
I'm used to sitting in front rows because my eyes.
Right, yeah.
Here I go next in front of the second row.
Yeah, it's so much better. Look at that. Why is that, Mr. IT guy?
I'm actually not quite IT, but what's your question?
Definition's so much better.
Oh, why is the definition better on here than the
Main screen, as it were? Yeah.
than the projector?
Yeah.
Well, the projector is not as bright or as crisp as we would like it to be.
Yeah.
We're looking at replacing those. I was not on the panel that made the decision on which
That's why.
projectors to get. So I relinquish any responsibility.
They were fools not to
Yeah.
ask you.
They were. Now I chose the monitors.
Oh.
Because if you sit in that seat, you'd be like.
No, it's perfect.
No, but where he's.
Oh, where he's sitting, yeah. Well, he doesn't care.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, then you'd have to look up like this.
That's my point,
Right,
yeah.
right. But he
That's
doesn't
why
want to watch, I don't think, really.
Yeah, that's why I took this seat.
Professor
No one
must
would
have a
want
harder
to.
time getting people to sit in the front row, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's true. The students must all just kind of flock around, assuming that the professors do a lot of PowerPoints and stuff. At our school, they just lecture right on the board there.
Do I have to stay right at the podium to be in the
No, it's a pretty wide shot. How mobile are you?
Well, I can see what my range is there.
Yeah, from like the rack to about the end of the whiteboard.
Okay.
That's about as wide as it'll go.
Great. Wait another minute or two for some stragglers to come on in.
that I'd never heard a vendor talk about before. That's what I'd be interested in doing it, as long as they're actually hard to do it.
I think it takes a lot of thought.
Yeah.
It's a really good time.
It takes kind of reformulating.
When I was at Brooklyn, we tried like an early version of it. I used to do contests, like what a bill was or whatever, my version of the thing. So one time a student comes in after one of the classes, because we were trying to teach them so much basic stuff before they do some research stuff. She comes in and she goes, I played your podcast at work. And the woman next to me in the cubicle next to me said, who is that guy? He's putting me to sleep. No, because my voice, well, I like to think.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. Thank you all for coming this late afternoon session. I know if you're anything like me, you're probably a little tired at this point of the day, and you've been listening to lots of presentations. So hopefully this one will be interesting to you. My name is Jed Lewin. I'm one of the law school relationship managers from Bloomberg Law, and I'm going to take today to show you some of the great features of Bloomberg, to give you a refresher on things you may be familiar with, to highlight some of the new features we've just released very recently, and to highlight some of the ways that we can use Bloomberg to help you in the way that people are teaching legal research and doctrinal classes today, which is with a greater emphasis on outside the classroom learning, flipping the classroom, using technology to expand learning outside the classroom to increase the amount of time spent in class on practical skills training. So I see a lot of familiar faces. I see some faces I've never seen before. Just before I get started, is there anyone here who has not seen Bloomberg Law before or hasn't seen it very recently? Great. So I'm going to give a general overview. I'll explain a lot about who we are and what we do. This is the Bloomberg Law landing page. It's bloomberglaw.com. We are part of the Bloomberg Financial Company. We were started about 30 years ago by Mayor Michael Bloomberg, the mayor of New York. We started selling company, market, stock, financial, news, and analytical information to Wall Street. Over the last 30 years, we've become one of the largest sellers of such information and one of the largest producers of news in the world. We have more reporters working for Bloomberg than the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal combined. And we have taken all this information and we recognize that all this information we are creating and compiling was not just of interest to Wall Street and business, but to lawyers and law students, because really the way the law is practiced today is about the business of law. So we took all these great resources we had and we combined them with a traditional legal research platform in a totally innovative way. So you have all of your primary law, your cases, your statutes, your constitutions, your rules, your regs, and your codes, all of your secondary sources, plus the power of the Bloomberg financial information. So let's get started. This is the landing page. The first thing I like to do when I log on, when I'm about to do some research, is create a workspace. Workspaces are something we're going to be focusing on quite a bit today because it is a nice collaborative tool. It's where you save all of your research, and it's where you can share your research with other people. If we go to the top navigation bar here, I'm going to click on Workspaces and show you how easy it is to create one. And you can create as many of them as you want. You can add as much content into them as you want. And it's like Dropbox. So you can upload content from your own computer, Word files, PDFs, videos that you record. You can upload content from our system. So any videos from us, any cases, any statutes, any articles, anything. All you have to do is name it. So I'll make one called Callie. And if I want to, so think about how great this is for giving an assignment to a class. All I have to do is invite other users to join, is type their names in. So if I want to invite my colleague Pamela, I can just start typing her name. I don't need to know her email address. It's just that simple. You will have the same abilities. Yes?
Sorry. So do you have to be a member to get to that view? Because I'm trying to find. You have to be a member to get to that view?
Yes, you have to be logged in. Do you have a Bloomberg Law account or password yet? Okay, so just follow along for today, and then we can get you access.
Okay.
Great. So this is how we create a workspace. This is how we invite other users to join. But I'm going to be creating one for a class, and I want to give lots of information to the class, and I want to upload several different things. So I'm not ready yet to share it with my students. So I'm going to delete this workspace, and I've already created one called Callie. So we can take a look at some of the different types of content that you can save into a workspace. We offer lots of tools for working collaboratively with you, with your faculty, with your students. For instance, we do prepared research exercises. So if a school is trying to figure out how to integrate Bloomberg Law into a legal research course or into a skills course, we can work with you to create canned research exercises geared towards your school and your students. So for instance, here is one that I created with Director John Edwards from Drake. So I uploaded a Word document from my own computer into the workspace, and we can take a look at research exercises that we gave to the students at Drake this spring. So that's one type of document we can save in there, and one type of way that we can work with you. We also do presentations in class, of course. As a follow-up to that, some professors like to create a list of skills that the students should be able to use using Bloomberg Law. This is a list of skills that I worked with a professor at the University of Michigan to create. And you'll see this is a different type of list. So here we have a list of 14 skills after a presentation in class. And within this list, you'll see links to our Help Center. Our Help Center has step-by-step instructions on basically how to do everything using Bloomberg Law. Additionally, we offer videos. In our video center, we have 50 videos, 2 to 3 minutes long, 2 to 4 minutes long, little tutorials on, again, how to do everything. So in this example, excuse me, we can see here that to search within a specific source, we have the Help Center step-by-step instructions. We also have the Help Center video for how to select different sources. So this is another way you can give information to your students outside the class, exercises that they can do at home. We can upload PDFs to the workspace. So this is an example, and you'll see there's a couple of notes in here. You can have conversations within each workspace. This is a PDF of a flyer that our colleague Valerie Carullo and Stephanie Miller from Washington and Lee University created together for a presentation at SEAL last month. So any type of documents you want to upload, we can do that. So I'm just going to open this so you can see it. And this was also a presentation down at SEAL on flipping the classroom. Screencasting. Another thing that we offer, in addition to the 50 already built out collection of videos in our Help Center, is customized screencasting. We have a law library relationship team, Jim Murphy in the back and Valerie Carullo holding down the fort in New York. They work with schools, they work with librarians, they work with faculty to create customized screencasts. So you've heard a lot about screencasts this week. I'm sure you're familiar with them. But they are little bits of software that we create 2 to 5 minutes, sometimes 7 minutes long. You don't really want them to be much longer than that. And it's geared towards you. We're going to be creating some generic ones as well that will be universally applicable. But we can work with you to create specific trainings for your class's specific needs. And we can save those into the workspace. For instance, here is one from Valerie that was done with Washington and Lee. It's housed on the Washington and Lee YouTube website, but we also have it uploaded here in the workspace. So this is an example of the type of things that you can do with your students.
Hello, my name is Valerie, and I'm a member of the Bloomberg Law School team. In this presentation, I'm going to show you some of the resources.
So I can see that this is 3 minutes and 48 seconds. I'm not going to play the whole thing,
as well as
but
specifically
they look really nice, and they are customized to your exact needs for what type of research and what type of training you're doing in your class at that time.
provides you, including your research thread and workspaces.
The final thing I'm going to show you is an audio podcast that I uploaded from Bloomberg Law today. This is a big story, obviously, this week. So this is a radio podcast. Again, we're part of Bloomberg. The Bloomberg News empire is built into Bloomberg Law. So this is a radio podcast. All I have to do is click play, and we'll get Tom Keene and the folks from Surveillance at Bloomberg, excuse me, playing their discussion about Daniel Carson. I don't suppose anyone has a cough drop, do they?
I recommend.
Great. So the final thing I want to show you with the Workspace before we move on is now that we have it, now that I've uploaded all this content that I want to give to my students, now I want to share it with them. So I can go into settings, thank you, and just like I would have when I was originally creating the Workspace, rather, I can now add additional users. So I went into the settings for the Workspace, and now I can invite new members. So if I want to invite Pamela, I just type her name. Here she is. If I want to invite Jim Murphy in the back, I just start typing his name. Here he is. If I want to invite Peter, who's manning the fort downstairs, I click invite, and all three of them have now received an email invitation inviting them to join my Workspace. Yes?
Can you upload lists, or could you use, like, just say a list that was created? In
Yes.
Workspace?
You can upload any type of content from your own computer into the Workspace.
But I mean for the addresses.
No. No, because it's a self-completing box, so you just type their names and it auto-completes for you. So the email addresses are actually not useful in that case.
So will it pick up anybody who has Bloomberg Law, or just
No.
the students at my
Great
school?
question. Only the people at your school. It's not limited to students. It's anyone at your institution who has a Bloomberg Law password will be in your list. I can only invite people from Bloomberg. You can only invite people from your institution. So any other questions about Workspaces before we move on? Yes?
How, is there a maximum file size for
No.
uploading?
I think in theory that there is, but we have never hit it.
What do you think it might be?
I don't know. I would ask that you not back up your entire computer in our cloud. But so far, no one has hit the limit. So you can upload videos and podcasts and all sorts of material in there. Yes,
The videos in the Help Center, do you have to be logged in to look at those?
you do.
Are you ever going to put them on YouTube? Like if
We
competitors have done that?
We do have a YouTube channel. I'm not sure how that works exactly, but we can speak afterwards about that. So I'm going to go back to the main page for a second, and now I'll give you a quick walkthrough of what's available directly on the main page, and I'm going to take the mint. So I hope that will help. As soon as you log in, this is the academic landing page. We give you the ability to jump into any type of research you want to do. In the Getting Started box, we can search broadly through all of our legal content, or we can search more narrowly. So specific types of content, court opinions, or statutes and regs, through our dockets product. Our dockets product has access to all of the federal courts and selected state and international courts, where the pleadings and documents attached to the docket are retrievable electronically. We can retrieve them electronically for you at no cost. So this is a great resource. We have books and treatises. We've acquired the Bureau of National Affairs in the last year and a half, BNA, and we've integrated almost all their content into our system. and by the end of the year, that will be exclusive to Bloomberg Law. Scrolling down here, we have a section for the summer associates, prepare to practice. Here's where we can find all of our Help Center videos. I mentioned that there's 50 of them already built out, and we're constantly working on creating more content. So if I want to know what advanced opinion search tools are there, I can click into any one of these videos, and it'll be similar to the screencast that my colleague Valerie created. This is just an example. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but they're really excellent. They're done by our in-house former practitioners. So we have these for a very, very broad range of topics. Here we are back on the main page. We have sample assignments that you can give to your students, litigation type assignments, transactional assignments. These are real practical skills trainings. We did this to prepare students for their summer jobs. We have writing tips. We have a video series on summer associate performance, how to get ahead, how to succeed, how to get an offer, how to distinguish yourself. We have drafting treatises, working with contracts, what law school doesn't teach you. This is a legal writing book for transactional drafting. Similarly, we'll have Thinking Like a Writer, A Lawyer's Guide to Effective Writing and Editing. For those of you who teach legal writing, this is a very commonly used text. So all sorts of resources on the main page, and then the Bloomberg Law videos. So these are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos that we create every single week. Interviews with practitioners, with judges, with politicians, with really important people on cutting edge issues. So we can add any one of these to a workspace. Anything you open on Bloomberg Law, you'll have delivery options across the top. So we can print this article, we can download it, we can email it to ourselves or to anyone else, even if they don't have a Bloomberg Law account. We can add the document to our workspace. So if I want to save this video to the workspace, just click plus workspace. It's going to default to the most recent one, and all I have to do is hit save. That's it. Now it's in our workspace. We're back on the main page now. Let's do a little research. I like to jumpstart research using the Go bar. That's this bar on the upper right-hand corner of the screen. Before I even do anything, the Go bar reminds me that we have all the primary law: constitutions, statutes, cases, rules, regs, codes, etc. Hundreds of secondary sources. I mentioned our news. We have Bloomberg proprietary news. We also offer access to over 30,000 other news sources. Basically every major news source in the world: newspapers, news wires, magazines, blogs, Twitter feeds, the New York Times, the full text of it going back 30 years, and much, much more. As part of the core Bloomberg information we built into Bloomberg Law, we have profiles on every single publicly traded company on the face of the planet. We have profiles on almost 2 million privately held companies, and we have profiles on almost 3 million individuals. Directors and officers of all the publicly traded companies, politicians, historical figures, newsworthy practitioners, newsworthy people in general. So this is how I use the Go bar. I don't hit enter. I can start typing. If I was interested in finding information about a company, I let Bloomberg populate that dropdown. And I've got a whole list, or I will have a whole list, once the Wi-Fi kicks in. I've got a whole list of different things I can search. So I can search for Apple through all of our legal content. I can do a citation search. I can search for plaintiffs or defendant named Apple. I can search our dockets for parties named Apple. I can search the news. These are court opinions with Apple as a party. We offer the popular names table. Here's the profile for Apple Inc. We offer a huge amount of resources dedicated to financial information about the company, an overview of who they are and what they do. We can look at their cash flows, their balance sheets, their income statements. We can look at who owns Apple. We can look at profiles on each of their officers and directors. We can take a look at all their SEC filings through our comprehensive Edgar search. We can even pierce the corporate veil and take a look at their corporate hierarchy. See their org chart. Here are all the subs and related entities to Apple, where they're incorporated, what the relationship is, where they're hiding their money. Why does this company not pay any U.S. taxes? Here's why. Going back to the main page, you'll see a snapshot of their stock market performance, news about the company, basic company data, including a link to their website, and a breakdown of all their federal litigation by year, by nature of suit, and with active links to the dockets. So for instance, if I wanted to take a look at any of Apple's 3 general contract actions in federal court from 2012, I can just click on that 3, and it's going to take me right to those dockets. And remember, we have access to all the federal courts, selected state and international courts, and we can pull the documents from the action. So if I wanted to take a look at the docket in Jewel, I can do that. You'll have your delivery options at the top, and because we're looking at a docket, we have additional options. So this hasn't been updated since May 22nd. Let's update that. That was 2 weeks ago. This is telling me that normally this costs money. To do this, for us to go to the federal court's PACER website and retrieve information, it costs 10 cents a page for a maximum of $3. For our paying customers, law firms, we charge them only 10 cents a page. So we don't make any money on this at all. It's just passing through the cost. For our academic users, as you can see, the fee is waived. We incur it, but because we want you to use it, we don't pass it on to you. This is free. So I'm going to accept. I'm going to update the docket. I'm going to hang out for a second, refresh my browser up here, and now you can see this docket is current through June 14th. Scrolling down, you'll see everything is integrated on Bloomberg, so we'll have the related opinion connected to this case. You'll have a list of all the parties and counsel, and you'll see all the docket entries. So you'll see blue numbers and you'll see green numbers. The blue numbers mean the document resides on our system. Someone has requested it, we went and got it, and we loaded it on the system. So if I want to see the scheduling order, it's right here. For the green numbers, when the documents are electronically retrievable, all you have to do is request it by clicking on the green number. So if I want to see the declaration of Mark Buckley, I can click on the green 2. My fee is waived. I accept. I can hang out for a second. I can refresh my browser. And in that time, we'll have gone to the court, gotten the data you requested, and take a look at the declaration of Mark Buckley. Instantaneous. So that's one way of using the Go bar. Finding information about a company or an individual, you just type the name. If I want to find information about a statute, I can, if I'm looking for the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, the first act signed into law by President Obama, I just start typing. Here it is, the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act of 2009. If I was looking for a statute and I knew the citation for it, I can do that. The Go bar is going to recognize this as a citation, and I can run my search. This is going to pull up 26 U.S.C. 1361, the section of the revenue code that defines an S corp. So this is what our tax statutes and our securities statutes look like. You'll see the statute itself with your delivery options. We can add this statute to our workspace. We have to bear with the Wi-Fi a little bit. But while we're sitting here, we can see that there's other tabs. Here we go. So again, it's defaulting to the Kali workspace. My save is successful. If we scroll down, we'll see the whole text of the statute plus all the legislative history with links to the public laws. And on the right-hand side, you'll find general information and a notepad. This is true of every document you open on Bloomberg Law. You'll find general information about it and a notepad. If I want to take notes on this statute, I just click anywhere I want to take a note. and save it. And that will be there forever, no matter where in the world I open this, even if I hadn't saved it to a workspace. Yes?
If you do save it to the workspace and you're sharing the workspace with other people, can they see the annotations?
Excellent question. No, they cannot. It's like I planted you. Got the $5 from later. No, they cannot. If you're sharing a document in a workspace, they cannot see your notepad content unless you go way out of your way to share it with them. So this is attorney work product, and we protect that very seriously. This is your work product, so no. There are ways around that.
Okay.
If you are emailing the document to someone, you can choose as part of your delivery options to include the notepad content. That's the only way you would share your notepad content with someone else.
Because I can see the use of it in an academic setting when you have an RA working with a professor instead
Yeah.
of, that they might, I can see, that they might want to do that.
Yes.
Where,
So you can enable it,
so that's
but
the
the default,
workaround.
exactly.
And that's good,
The default is to protect it as work product.
good.
Back at the top here, we have some new tabs. So we're looking at the statute right now, and we now have a court opinions tab. This is going to pull up court opinions that have a substantive discussion of 1361. So it's not every time this statute has been cited in a court opinion. This is done through analytics to determine, has there been a substantive discussion? So we've got 191 of them, which is great, but it's way too many for me. So I want to use our filters on the left-hand side of the screen to narrow our results. And I can do that by searching keywords. I can do that by putting in a date restriction. I can do that based on the strength of the discussion. So if I'm only interested in these strong legal discussions, I can filter for just the strong ones as my starting point. And I'm down now from 191 to 66, which is great, but it's still too many. And I practice in a specific jurisdiction, so I want to know jurisdictionally what cases are going to be relevant to me. So now we can choose a court. If I was interested, say, in the 7th Circuit courts, I can do that. So there is one very strong discussion of 1361 from the 7th Circuit Court of Appeals, and my research just got a lot easier. The next tab, still within this document, is the Treasury regulations. So these are the regulations taken out of the CFR that enact the statute. These are all linked so we can take a look at the CFR. And then finally, secondary sources. This is content from Bloomberg BNA, interpreting and providing analysis of these tax statutes, these security statutes. So you've got 362 interpretive documents, which you can also further narrow. Where they come from, what they deal with, etc. Cases. If I have a case citation, I can type in 248 New York 339, and our dear old friend Paul's graph is going to come up. If I don't know the citation of the case, I know the name of it, I can type in the name into the go bar. Again, I don't hit enter when I use the go bar. I let Bloomberg populate the dropdown. And here's the case I'm interested in the most cited court opinion section, Citizens United. So this is what a case looks like on Bloomberg Law. You'll notice we have these citation marks. We built B-Cite. It's a fully comprehensive case citator. You'll have your delivery options again across the top. We can add Citizens United to our workspace. As I scroll down a little bit, you'll see that this case, along with every other case that BNA attorney editors over the last 80 years have headnoted, this case has headnotes. So along the way, any case that BNA has headnoted, we've integrated that content into our system, and we're constantly adding more. These topics are searchable. If I wanted to find other First Amendment headnote cases, I can do that. On the right-hand side, you'll notice, again, the general information. This is a court opinion, so the general information is going to relate to citator treatment. We can see that this case has been cited 412 times, 389 times positively, 22 courts have distinguished it. Therefore, the overall treatment is that it has been distinguished. For a list of all of our B-site indicators, we can click right here, and this will give us a description and understanding of what those symbols mean. Everything is integrated on Bloomberg, so we'll find the related docket. If we want to take a look at the briefs in Citizens United, we can do that. Back in the text of the opinion itself, we can take a look at all the primary law, the CFR, US Code, other court opinions, 203 of the BCRA, etc. And then next to the general information, you'll have your notepad where you can take your notes. This is really great for students who can do their IRAC analysis in class. They can create workspaces for each class, upload the cases they're going to be going over, no longer have to carry their course books, and just brief the case in class on their computer. So the general information was great. It tells me a little bit about the B-side treatment. But what I really want to do is I want to dig in deeper and see how this case has been treated by other courts. And to do that, we use the B-side tab. So this is going to give me 3 levels of analysis. The first is the direct history of the case. Everything that happened as this case worked its way through the courts. Next, the citation analysis is each of the 412 subsequent courts that have discussed Citizens United. And then at the bottom, the table of authorities, the 194 cases cited by the Supreme Court in its opinion in Citizens United. And then within each one of these sections, we can pick up a lot of information visually. So for instance, I can see that Bailey v. Callahan discussed and quoted Citizens United in a positive way in a very brief discussion, that Bailey is itself still good law, but that it did this discussion in the dissent. Hello, red flag, this is not binding authority. This came in the dissent, so be careful. This is especially useful for students, but it's really useful for everyone because you don't have to wonder, do I read this 35-page federal opinion and only to find out this quote came in the dissent. If I was trying to figure out what Citizens United is about, I promise you as a former litigator, I never would have had time to read 412 opinions. I would have started probably with the cases distinguishing Citizens United, because you can learn a lot about what something is by learning what it is not. So we can sort this data by court, by analysis, or by date. We can filter this data. So if I only want to see the 22 cases distinguishing it, I can do that. So now I've limited my universe in 22 cases. And if I want to see, for instance, where NSK Corp distinguishes Citizens United, I can click this little arrow to the left of the 9 here. And it's going to open NSK Corp directly to the point in the discussion where they talk about Citizens United. So I don't have to flip through a 35-page federal opinion. It's not taking me off my page. I'm not losing my spot. And I can see right here, Citizens United is similarly inapplicable. In that case, the Supreme Court, it couldn't be easier, it couldn't be more clear. This is a huge time-saving feature. And if I want to see all 22 of these this way, all I have to do is click Show Details, and it's going to open all 22 of those cases right to the extract where they distinguish Citizens United. We can take this even further. So I've done some case research, and I've determined that Citizens United is a pretty important case. It's controlling in the federal courts on issues of First Amendment rights related to campaign finance. And now I want to search within the universe of cases around it. I want to run an eco search. Eco search is searching a closed universe, a closed ecosystem. So of the 412 cases citing to Citizens United, or the 194 cases cited by Citizens United, or all of them for a specific concept. So now I'm searching around this case, around this universe of 600 and something cases for a specific concept. Maybe I'm only interested in the cases that discuss unions. I can do that. And we operate on Boolean search terms and connectors. We give you the ability to craft a really refined search and get exactly what you're looking for. And anytime you see the keyword search box, anytime you have the opportunity to enter keywords, you'll see a link to our search operators right next to it or right below it. And I'll get into that more in a second. But let's just run this search. So now we're searching the closed universe surrounding Citizens United, these 600 plus cases for a specific concept. Does anyone have any questions while we're loading? Okay, So of that universe of 600 plus cases, I now have a list of 110 of them that discuss unions. Well, that's great, but it's still too many. Maybe I'm interested in ones from a specific jurisdiction. Maybe I'm only interested in ones from the Seventh Circuit. I can do that. Or from a specific state, or a specific court, or on a specific topic, or relating to an industry, or written by a specific judge. And any judge who has an opinion connected to this will be in here. It's not just 5. Any industry connected to these will have a link. It was not just 5. If I'm only interested in federal circuit courts, or the circuit courts around this area, and district courts, we can do that. So I can see that there's 2 from the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. I can see that there's 2 from the Northern District of Illinois, 1 from the Southern District, and let's limit our search that way. And now I can apply. So I'm going to have down from 600 and something to 110 down to 5. Jurisdictionally specific cases I'm interested in relating to the subject I'm interested in. You'll see all these results will have B-site treatment to the left, and we can even further sort this if we want. Reverse chronological order is great, but maybe I'm interested in the cases that are most cited for these points. So that's how we use the Go bar. We've covered how to search for company by name, statute by name, statute by citation, case by name, case by citation. I think we pretty well understand that. But what if we actually have to do some real legal research? What if we need to find out what the standard for granting a preliminary injunction is in the Northern District of Illinois? Well, we can do a court opinion search. And I'm coming into search and browse here, and I'm going to do a court opinion search. This is what our fielded searches look like. They're the same across the entire system, and we can choose databases to run searches in. So I said Northern District of Illinois. Let's start with the federal court opinions. I'm going to choose U.S. Circuit and District Courts. And again, I'm going to go to the Seventh Circuit and District Courts. If you ever want to know what's in one of these databases, click on the I, the International Symbol for Information. And this is going to tell us that we have all of these Seventh Circuit court opinions from 1892 to present. So let's choose the Seventh Circuit. And you can see now I've selected a source. But let's add another couple also. Central District, Eastern District, Northern District, Southern District. And maybe I also want Illinois state court opinions. So I can go back and I can find states and state courts and find Illinois and choose which courts I want. But at any time, I can also use this Select Sources bar at the top and just start typing. Let Bloomberg populate the dropdown, as always, and you'll see all Illinois state court opinions right here. So now I've chosen 6 databases to run a single search across at the same time. And I can do that in a number of ways. I can do it by judge, I can do it by party, I can do it by industry, by attorney, by firm, or I can just put in my keywords. And I promised I would show you our search operators. Every time you'll see the keywords search box, you'll see a list of our search operators. If you click on more, this will open a separate document listing all the search operators, explaining them, and giving examples of how to use them. This is particularly useful for students. If I was giving a case research assignment in my class, I would upload the search operators list to the Workspace as well. So let's go ahead and save this to our Workspace. The Wi-Fi has a bit of the 4:30 in the afternoon doldrums, but here it is. So this is a separate document. We've already saved it to our Workspace. So let's go back to our search. If I was looking for the standard for a preliminary injunction, I can do something like standard. You do have to spell it properly. And I can run my search. judging by how many databases I'm running this search across and how common a legal concept this is, I'm guessing we're going to have a lot of results, but we can, yes?
Strange little point, but I saw quotation marks in your connectors.
Yes.
For exact phrase. Will this read preliminary injunction as a phrase?
Yes, that is not a strange question. It's a very good question. Bloomberg law assumes quotations when you put words next to each other. It doesn't put in an and or an or. It assumes exact phrase. So if I was looking for a motion to dismiss, because there's what we call a stop word in there, to, a, the, but, for, as, if, little tiny words that the computer doesn't really pick up very well. If I wanted a motion to dismiss, I would put that in quotes, or I would search for motion n/3 dismiss. But for something like preliminary injunction, it's going to read it as if it's in quotes, and that's what we'll get, because those two words are always going to be next to each other. So we've got 86 results. We've already limited by jurisdiction. Maybe I want to filter now by topic. I'm looking for a motion to dismiss in a contract action. I can apply a quick filter on the left-hand side of the screen. Now I've got 10, which is great, but I'm making this motion to dismiss, or making a motion for a preliminary injunction rather, in front of Judge McNulty. And I want to see how Judge McNulty rules on motions for preliminary injunction, because ideally, in a factually similar case, I'd be able to quote Judge McNulty's words right back to him, and here's my case. So any questions about how to do this type of searching? Okay, so it's wonderful to be able to know what the standard is for a preliminary injunction. But as a litigator, what I want is not just the case that tells me what the standard is. What I want to see is an actual brief. I want to see a brief in support of a motion for a preliminary injunction that's going to lay out the standard, it's going to lay out the argument, it's going to give me a head start on my research, so we can search the dockets. And in the Litigation and Dockets tab, I can search the docket. So if I look for a case in the Northern District of Illinois granting a motion for a preliminary injunction, or whatever it is I'm looking for, I can do that. All I have to do is choose my court. You'll see I've entered NDIL, and Bloomberg is smart enough to know what I mean. And I can use this search in other ways too. I don't just have to find examples of motions or examples of briefs. I can use this, well, if I'm looking for a specific case and I know the docket number, I can do that. And if it's a federal case, we have tips on searching for federal docket numbers right here. But I can use this as a student preparing for a clerkship interview. I can select the court and select the judge and run a blank search and see what type of cases that judge is hearing and what kind of ruling she's making, and have something to talk about in my interview. Similarly, I can do that with an attorney or a law firm. What kind of clients are they representing? What kind of cases are they handling? Are they winning? And because I've chosen a federal district court here, I can search by things that appear on the federal civil cover sheet. Nature of suit, cause of action. I can look for all the federal civil rights employment actions in the Northern District of Illinois this way. But what we were looking for was a brief. So let's say I'm looking for a motion to dismiss for lack of personal jurisdiction. I can put in my keywords. And run my search. This is going to search the face of every docket plus the body of any document that is already listed in our system. So we can narrow it by the filters we had below, nature of suit, etc. You'll see my search terms are highlighted, they're black, they're bold, and I can take a look at the dockets. But we've already seen what a docket looks like. This is what they look like. Whenever I would come into one, I would update it to make sure it's current. This is only as current as 2 weeks ago, so we would update it, but we've been down this road. This is what the dockets look like. This is where we retrieve the documents. Does anyone have any questions about docket searching? Okay, great. We don't have much time left, so I want to show you a few more things. Our practice centers are where we aggregate all the content from all the different parts of all of our databases related to specific areas of the law. So for instance, intellectual property. Everything related to intellectual property on Bloomberg Law will be organized in this one easy-to-use place. They're all organized in essentially the same way. You will find general information about that practice area for areas in which there are subcategories in intellectual property. For instance, you'll have trademark, you'll have copyright, you'll have patent, you'll have trade secrets, etc. We have practice pages for each of the individual ones. And you'll notice right away, as soon as we log in, here's the breaking news. This is the big story. Yesterday, the Supreme Court said, no, genes, naturally occurring genes are not patentable. We have analysis of the myriad genetics, court opinion, and practice pages for each of the subdisciplines, as I said. So if we wanted to take a look at trademark law, everything from the PTO is going to be in here. All of the resources related to trademark, all of our books and treatises specific to trademark are going to be in here. Lots and lots of great resources. News and analysis from BNA, the laws and regs, Trademark Act, the Lanham Act, state trademark laws, etc. Opinions and dockets, information from the regulatory agencies. So the PTO, the TBMP, etc. I'm going to go back to the Intellectual Property Practice Center as a whole, because going down we have specialized searches. We can search for patents, we can search for assigned patents, we can do all sorts of things. We have domain name decisions. We can search all the laws and regs related to practice in the IP space. So again, the Trademark Act and the Lanham Act, all of the different iterations, this 1909 and 1976. We have opinions and dockets. We now are the publishers of the USPQ, the official publisher for patent opinions. We have the patent court opinions, all the USPQ opinions, trademark court opinions, copyright court opinions, etc. The regulatory agencies that govern practice in this space. We also offer transactional resources. So if you're practicing in intellectual property space, you're doing a lot of things, many of which are licensing intellectual property. So we have actual agreements in our Dealmaker document database, which I'll show you in a moment. We have over 250,000 actual agreements. Many of them are licensing agreements, so anything you were looking for practicing in the IP space will be here. Likewise, books and treatises. These are just books and treatises focused on practicing in IP. Harmon on Patents is a very familiar title. The BNA law reports. Here are all the different titles we have. We currently publish over 125 daily and weekly law reports. So for instance, if I wanted to sign up for the social media and law policy report, I can do that. This is what it looks like on Bloomberg Law. These are great. I'm sure many of you are familiar with content from BNA. And many of you are probably already receiving email subscriptions. It's even easier to subscribe to them through Bloomberg Law than it is through BNA's platform. And to do that, all you have to do is click on Manage Email Notifications right here. This is going to bring you to the entire list, but only the section that we're interested in at the moment. And anyone that I want to subscribe to, all I have to do is click Set Notification. And that's it. It's as simple as that. This is now being delivered to my email inbox anytime it is published. If I decide I no longer want to subscribe to it, all I have to do is click on the red X, and I'm no longer subscribed. So very easy to manage your BNA subscriptions. So I promised that I would show you our transactional resources, because we do have a lot related to that. And that is found in our transactional law tab. Starting with drafting guides and overviews, we give you practical tools to help your students prepare to be lawyers on day one. So in addition to all the videos, in addition to all the content that you can add to a workspace, we have drafting guides and overviews, ways to help your students familiarize themselves with practice in this space. Beginning with document descriptions. We have comprehensive, concise explanations of basically every single type of agreement your students are ever likely to encounter in practice. They could very easily find themselves on the first day of a summer internship or a spring internship being asked to help draft a factoring agreement. Well, if that happened to me on my first day, I would have had two thoughts. One, what in the world is a factoring agreement? Two, I cannot ask this guy what a factoring agreement is because it's my first day and I don't want to look like an idiot. But on Bloomberg Law, you can get a comprehensive, concise explanation of basically everything you need to know in 30 seconds. So a factoring agreement is a purchase contract pursuant to which a company sells certain accounts receivable or invoices to another party known as the factor at a discounted price. And then it'll lay out the form of them, the key sections, etc. A simple one-page explanation of everything the student needs to know to not look like an idiot. We also offer drafting guides. So if you're drafting certain types of agreements or clauses in certain types of agreements, we offer little mini treatises on how to draft them. So the indemnification provisions of an asset purchase agreement. Here's a little treatise on drafting them. In our whole section on transactional legal treatises, we offer hundreds of titles, some very general, some very specific. One of them that I like very much is in the general transactional section. It's called Working with Contracts, What Law School Doesn't Teach You, which is quite a bit. This is a great teaching tool. It's available, the full text of it, to you and to your students. Chapter 3 in particular offers great teaching sources. The drafting process. What does the lawyer do in the drafting process? It's never been the case that most of your students were going to graduate and become litigators like I did. Most people work with contracts. Here is how you work with contracts. What does the lawyer do? How does the lawyer represent your client? Who drafts the contract in the first instance depends on what type of agreement it is. How to use a precedent, how to use a model, just like I would have wanted to find an example of a brief. When I was practicing, transactional attorneys want to see sample agreements. So using a precedent. And then teaching examples of how to mark up a precedent when you're working with other attorneys. How does this work? So real teaching examples that you can incorporate into your curriculum to help the students. Finally, using a precedent. So now I understand what these agreements are about. I know what the key parts are. I know how to negotiate them. I know how to draft them. Now I need a model. So we do have model forms. We have forms from the ABA. We have forms from BNA. We have forms from the PLI. But we also have our own Dealmaker document database. Over 250,000 actual agreements. So I can choose a specific type of agreement. I can choose an asset purchase agreement. I can choose the governing law. Maybe I'm only interested in asset purchase agreements governed by Illinois law. I can expand this and search for a specific firm. Do I want an asset purchase agreement governed by Illinois law that Mayor Brown was representing one of the parties in? I can do that. But let's just run our search. And here are agreements. I've got 188 of them. No guarantee that they're all wonderful. Just because a lawyer wrote them and just because they were publicly filed with the SEC doesn't mean they're the best example of something, but this is the actual agreement. If we scroll down to the bottom, we'll see a signature page. With everything, you'll have your delivery options. We can add this document to our workspace. You'll have the general information on the right-hand side. In this case, it'll tell you the type of agreement, the parties, the governing law, the industry, the law firms, the attorneys, the source document. Everything's integrated, so we can take a look at the 8K if we wanted to. You'll have your notepad on the right, as always, so I can take notes on this agreement. If I'm only interested in viewing a specific clause, I don't care about this whole thing, I only want to see the termination provisions. I can do that by clicking on the Clause Outline tab and taking a look at any clauses I want. Maybe I'm only interested in the covenants of seller, operation, and project. So here's my clause. I don't have to flip through a 50-page contract. Here it is. So we are just about out of time. I want to show you our workspace to see all the great things we've put into it. And of course, shared with whoever we are sharing the workspace with.
Can you
move around the workspace items, or do you just stick with what they give you in whatever order it is that you add?
They are static unless you do something to them. We can edit them, or we can add notes to them. So I can put in a note about this, and it's going to get a date and a timestamp and tell whoever what I said about it. So you can have little conversations in the workspace. You can even add, just add a note without having to add a document to it. And I've added one down here, adding notes. You can add notes to get the conversation started. So here's all of our content that we've saved today. And now, to the right of your name on the top of every single page is the Help Center. The Help Center is where you come to find all those step-by-step instructions on how to do everything, plus the Help Center videos. So it's another place to find the information, the 50 videos that we've built out. For you librarians, I know you always want to know what's new, what products have been released, what features have been enhanced. The What's New section will tell you what's new this month, and there's an archive in the What's New section will tell you what was new last month and what was new the month before. We add content constantly. We add functionality constantly. Every week we publish information. The videos can be found in here. We've already taken a look at that list, but there's 50 of them currently, and we're building out more. So there are lots and lots of ways that we can work with you to make your classroom experience, to make your students' experience easier. We can create customized trainings. We can create screencasts. We can put videos into the Help Center. You can upload any of this content into your workspaces to share with students, your fact pattern, your 2 cases and a statute in the closed research assignment, plus a video from the Help Center on how to do statutory research using Bloomberg Law. So there's lots and lots of ways to take your students out of the class for this lecture type stuff and have them working on practical skills in class. So I've covered everything I wanted to, but we have a few minutes. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, Lisa.
The screencasting, if we want a screencast on a certain topic, like how to use Boolean operators in Bloomberg Law, what do we do? Just call you up? Or?
Yes, you contact your Bloomberg Law relationship manager,
Okay.
Whoever that is for your school, and then we will work with you and with our law library team, Jim and Val, and put something together that meets your exact needs. And I forgot to mention that the Bloomberg academic access for students and for you guys is totally unlimited and totally unrestricted in any way. So your students can sit on Bloomberg, you can sit on Bloomberg all day, every day, run a million searches, click everything you want, and the students can use it for any purpose, anytime, anywhere. So a paying job, an internship, an externship over the summer, it doesn't matter. They'll have access to it for 6 months after they graduate, and the way they use it in their firms when they get there is exactly the same way as they'll use it in school, because it's unlimited access to everything, even for our paying customers. Lisa, yes?
So if you were to share the Cali Workspace with me and I sign into Bloomberg, what would I see? Would I see that workspace even though I've never created it?
Well, unfortunately, I can't share it with you because we're different institutions. But if you and Jim were at the same institution and Jim shared it with you, you would see everything that's in there.
So I would have a workspace already created even though I didn't do any work. I'm basically
That's
my
correct.
students. If
That's
I
correct.
have a workspace,
So you create the workspace, you upload any content you want into it, and then when you share it with someone, they have access to all of it.
But if you write down that I'm going to use this as in the final exam, they won't see that. They'll only see that you found a great brief or something. But if you have a private note in your notepad that you want to use it.
Right, they'll see everything in the workspace, which does not include the notepad content. But you can write notes to each other within the workspace. So, hey, this is going to be on your exam. You can write that in your workspace if you like. Any other questions?
Are you adding more areas of practice, or are you sticking with what
Yes.
you've got?
No, we constantly add new areas of practice. Just in the last year, you're talking about the practice centers?
Yes, I mean, I noticed there's no criminal law, no family law.
Just in the last year, we've added antitrust, we've added employee benefits, health, labor and employment, and tax. So we're constantly adding new content, and we'll be working on building that out. Great. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you didn't go to the games? I did.
But it's such a good conference.
Anyway, I am afraid
Hold on one second, I'm so sorry.
That's exciting.
Make it come and feed them off.
You want to work for us? Great.
you know, I don't want to just. No, I know. Yeah, I know. Really good. No, I have a son. Yeah. No, that's okay. Yeah. Growing a mustache. Always cute. Anyway, that's awesome. It's good to see it. It looks, I mean, this stuff is cool. Oh, yeah. That's really Yeah, no, I'll reach out to you. Thank you.
Next week I'm whatever date they said I'm
Nice job. I haven't seen it up close in person.
Yeah, except flying home tomorrow.
Thank you. Excited, so.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thanks for coming.
Where are you going?
Going to dinner with one of my friends.
Where are you going out?
We're going to go over my screencasts. Learn how to edit stuff. How it goes. I felt so nervous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just had to go into
Yeah.
There was something more about the first question. This is what happened to you before, and then they do this. You know what I mean? That's what
I do.
I mean, they can figure it out. This. You did great. You did a great job of demoing the product. This is not good. Are you coming down?
No, just like stressed out. So I was stressed out because I've been having semi-technical problems. There is no way to save Work Center video or Help Center videos into a Workspace. And I tried 50 different things.
How bizarre.
You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't save the links in there. You can't copy and paste.
Well, why?
Hyperlinks into a document to save them in there. Like just nothing works. I don't know why. I had Val trying to help me.
But you had it.
Didn't. I had the screencasts in there.
Yeah.
I had podcasts in there.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of the Help Center videos in there. Could not get them in.
Wait a second, I'm confused. So you had that, I thought I saw the help desk screencast. There's a difference between that and the video. No,
I did. I had that, but I
Right.
accessed it from the main page.
Well, you fooled me.
Yeah.
Wow. That was clever.
Smoke and mirrors,
No, can I
baby.
just say, no, to me, because I, you know, I've seen it before.
part of the Relay Club. And it was on the flipped classroom thing, which was the part where you did it, where you opened up stuff, and then you're like, and here's this, and then here's this, and here's Val's thing. And you opened up, like, and you could see it was great. That was brilliant. I mean, the stuff that you chose to say was great. It was great. And it was a good demo. Okay. Just if you were going to do the flipped classroom thing again, I would think more about a flipped classroom. Well, which and I'm sitting there. I was dying to see, like, how's he going to do this? And the woman, Susan from university, because I saw her day before yesterday, she's like, yeah, flipped classroom. I've never heard a vendor talk about that. I'm like, neither have I. I can't wait.
It's like, all that stuff in the, you're going to sign the video, there's something to sign for that.
Yeah, I mean, that part was at the beginning, and then you did this really great
Sound demo or something at the end.
which was good, yeah. No, that part too.
It's not good for fashion, I just.
No, I was really curious. So at the last part, I was sitting there like, okay, so if I were doing, how would you do it? Maybe the only thing it might be more like, well, you could sign them to do this first, and then when they come in, you can do that. Maybe just saying that a couple of times, but they could have figured that out themselves. You did a really great job, though. You did not come across as like an energy. Couldn't breathe. No, well that. Because of nerves or because of
Throat got dry, I don't know, yeah, maybe from nerves. So, it doesn't usually happen.
didn't come across. Honestly, didn't come across. And great time.
Thank you.
Charles Stewart. Charles Stewart. That was like golden stuff. Oh, that's yeah. We can get shirts from there. Very nice. Oh, it's a whole lot. So you're feeling good. That's over. I'm feeling very good. How about another good?